Hi everyone, good morning. Let us start with day 37 of our regular SAP FICO session. Today we will discuss and design the costing sheet as part of our cost component structure. So in day 35 we understood that the cost which are related to repair and maintenance, quality and R&D, research and development, will bring with the help of the costing sheet. So if we are bringing those component cost with the help of costing sheet, we need to design the costing sheet. So these are all the steps which are necessary to design the costing sheet, wherein we have to design one overhead key and one overhead group, based on which we will be setting up our costing sheet. And the requirement that we have is, for the repair and maintenance we will book 10 INR per piece to the finished goods. For each finished goods, the repair and maintenance cost will be loaded of 10 INR. For the quality, we will load 12 INR per piece. And for the research and development, we will load 2% of the material cost. So let us look into the system to design this. First is about creation of the overhead key. So the node you can find under controlling, product cost planning, basic setting for material costing. Under the overhead, you have define overhead key and define overhead groups. So let's define the RCII as overhead key, and for our plant we have defined RCI as overhead group as well. Next is we need to create the base. Like we are saying, the R&D cost will be 2% of the material cost. So we need to create one base, that is the material cost. And we also know the material cost will start from 400 200 GL account until 400 299, which we have mapped in GBV VVR in OBYC for the FIMM integration. So let's go into designing the calculation basis. So we create raw material basis, and under the details we provide the cost elements from where to where. So these are the sequence of the cost elements from GBB VBR that we have assigned. So this forms the raw material base. On this base, this 2% will get calculated. Next thing is designing the overhead rate, wherein for the repair and maintenance and for the quality, I say that I will be loading 10 and 12 INR onto the finished goods respectively. So this is quantity based, not the percentage based. So under the quantity based for the quality and for the repair and maintenance, let me show you for repair and maintenance. You see, for the repair and maintenance, I have given the combination or the dependency as overhead type and overhead key. Overhead key is the one that we recently designed, and overhead type means whether it's planned or actual. So let's go into the detail. And you see here for the overhead type, one means actual and 2 means plan. So as of now we are planning 3. As of now we should plan 10 rupees per piece. So 10 rupees per piece, and in actual also let me keep as 10 rupees per piece, so that whenever the product cost is calculated for the repair and maintenance, for every piece that is produced, 10 INR is loaded. Let's go into back and check for the quality. For the quality, I have said like 12 INR should be loaded for each piece of the finished good that is produced for quality cost, for both plan and actual, for our controlling area. So we have designed this. Now let's say designing the overhead rate for R&D, which is 2%. Let's go back. So this is based on the quantity. So we have come into this node, but for R&D we have to go into this percentage overhead rates. And I have designed R&D. So for R&D again I have told the dependency is overhead key and overhead type. Let's go into the details and check. We see for the actual and for the planned. For our controlling area RCIG, for the overhead key RCII, we are putting 2%. So 2% of what? 2% will be calculated of this base. But we have designed this base as independently and this overhead rate also independently. In in the coming configuration, we will provide a link between these two so that this 2% will be calculated on this particular base, which is the material cost. Next is designing the credit. Designing the credit. So to define the credit, we have already created these three cost centers, and we also know the concept behind creating these three cost centers. Let us create the credit now. Let's go back, and here we have defined the credits. So we have created the credits for all those three: for quality, for R&D, for R&M. Let me show for one. For repair and maintenance, for our controlling area, this is the cost. This is the cost element. The cost element I have taken from day 35. For repair and maintenance, you have 941,001, which is the same cost element I have put here, and the cost center is repair and maintenance. That means by this cost element, the cost will be picked from this repair and maintenance cost center and it will be loaded over the product. This is the meaning of this configuration. Let me show for R&D. For R&D, I am saying by this cost element, this GL account, the cost will be picked from R&D cost center and it will be loaded to the product. This is the meaning of the credits. Next is we will combine all those three components, which is the base, overhead rate and credits together to form the costing sheet. Let's go into define costing sheet, and RCII is our costing sheet, and let's go into costing sheet rows. And here you see there are 4 line items: 10, 20, 30 and 40, wherein RMTB is nothing but the RCI raw material base, and so this is under the base column, and all the remaining three for the repair and maintenance, for the quality and R&D, we have under the overhead column, because these are all the overheads, and we have this description auto populated from the overhead rates that we have designed. And for the repair and maintenance, for the quality, we note that there is no dependency upon any basis because it is calculated on a per unit basis. So we have linked the overhead for R&M with the credit of RM that we designed, the overhead of quality with the credit for quality, and the overhead for R&D with the credit for R&D. But this R&D has to be calculated 2%, which we already designed on what? On the raw material cost. So raw material cost is coming from this base row number 10, so that I have given here. From row number 10, 2% has to be applied. So this is the meaning of the costing sheet. I hope you understand the meaning of the material basis, the meaning of the overhead rates, and the meaning of the credits. With this, I will close for the day and we'll meet again in the next session for designing the template allocation. The template allocation will be used for capturing these costs, which we already discussed, this indirect material. So we'll design the template also in our next session. From today's session, I expect that you have a fair understanding about the concept and the practical configuration of the costing sheet. Let me close for the day. Thank you.